The National Desk, America's News, now.
This storm is massive, with hurricane force winds extending 25 miles from the center and tropical storm force winds extending 140 miles from the center.
Debby makes landfall. What began as a hurricane has softened to a tropical storm. Why forecasters are still warning of life-threatening floods as it continues its path through the southeast. The run-up to the running mate. Reports that Kamala Harris's VP pick has officially accepted the offer, but who is it? The final contenders and what we're learning about how soon we could get the news. And is the world's largest economy heading for a recession or just a rough spot? The indications economists are tracking, fueling new fears. This is the National Desk, America's News Now. I'm Amira David, tracking Tropical Storm Debby, now making its way right over Georgia and headed up the coast towards South Carolina, bringing with it historical amounts of rainfall. The National Weather Service predicting up to 18 inches of rain within just the next 48 hours in parts of Florida and North Carolina, and possibly 20 to 30 inches of rain in parts of South Carolina by this weekend. In Charleston, preparations underway as local officials track immense flooding and warn residents to heed the warnings.
For perspective, we typically get between 50 and 60 inches of rain annually. So our system is not designed to handle this kind of volume in this short of a period. The risk of intense flooding cannot be overstated.
And Debby made landfall in Florida's Big Bend early this morning as a Category 1 hurricane before being downgraded. Luckily, it crossed over a tiny community of less than 1,000 residents, but still caused a great deal of havoc. At its worst today, more than 300,000 customers lost power, with just under 200,000 currently still without electricity. In Jefferson, Taylor, Madison, and Suwannee counties, a near total blackout, with just about 100% of customers there without power right now. And we do know of at least one person in Florida that has died due to Debby today. In Tampa, Florida, a 64-year-old truck driver lost control of his vehicle and drove off an interstate bridge into a canal. You can see emergency crews here removing the truck from the waters. Debby has also been disrupting travel across the country. Today, more than 5,800 flights into or out of the United States were delayed, with 1,700 flights outright canceled. That's according to FlightAware.com. 60 flights have already been canceled for tomorrow, and that number is expected to rise as Debby makes its way up the coast.
We are at a critical moment for the region, and it is important that all parties take steps over the coming days to refrain from escalation and calm tensions. Escalation is in no one's interest.
Tonight, tensions reaching a boiling point in the Middle East. President Biden emerging from a meeting just this afternoon with his national security team in the Situation Room as the U.S. awaits an expected Iranian attack on Israel in retaliation for last week's back-to-back assassinations of Hezbollah and Hamas leaders, one inside Iran. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he has warned reportedly U.S. allies that the attack could happen somewhere in the next 24 hours. Both the U.S. and Israel say they are ready to counter Iran's response. This as the U.S. tells citizens in Lebanon to leave, U.S. citizens. The country on high alert right now as Hezbollah, which controls parts of the south, responds to the killing of its military commander as well. U.S. embassy officials in Lebanon say Americans should book any flight out of the country, and they say any citizens who stay should be ready to shelter in place for a, quote, extended period of time. The State Department already has a travel advisory in effect warning citizens to not travel to the country. The escalation and outgrowth of a raging war in Gaza, now underway for more than 300 days, that has seen Israel go after Hamas militants it blames for the group's October 7th attack, but has left thousands of innocent Palestinians dead and left Gazans without adequate access to desperately needed humanitarian aid. New tonight, a federal judge rules Google has violated U.S. antitrust laws in its search engine. It's a massive defeat for the tech giant and could reshape how millions of Americans get their information online. The ruling finds Google broke the law by paying tens of billions of dollars on exclusive contracts to secure a dominant position as the world's default search engine. This gave it the ability to block out rivals like Microsoft's Bing and DuckDuckGo. The judge could potentially force Google to change the way it runs or sell off parts of the business entirely. Google executives argue Google is winning because it's simply better. A new gun waiting period law takes effect in Maine on Friday. Anyone who buys a gun will have to wait 3 days before taking it home. It's meant to protect people who are contemplating suicide. Opponents worry about the potential impact on gun shows and the economy. Gun safety advocates argue waiting periods have been successful in other states. Stocks taking a major dive today, building on losses from last week and renewing fears that a recession may be underway. To make matters worse, technical issues on multiple trading platforms blocked many users from accessing their accounts. The National Desk's Atra El-Nashar has a closer look at what's behind the sell-off.
Markets around the world getting a brutal start to the week. Wall Street not immune, with all major indices falling by multiple percentage points. Even before Wall Street opened Monday, Japan's benchmark stock index had its worst day ever. The sell-off has economists speculating whether the odds of a recession just got higher or if stocks are just balancing out after a record-breaking couple of months.
We had seen double-digit percentage gains for the major stock market averages, and just like a rubber band, if you pull on it long enough, you're going to have some snap back.
Economists at Goldman Sachs say the odds of a recession in the next year are limited, but did raise the chances from 15% to 25%. A disappointing jobs report out Friday showed the unemployment rate ticked up to 4.3% in July. Measures of U.S. manufacturing and factory orders were also down, but Monday brought good news for the services sector. S&P Global reports the U.S. saw another strong expansion of business activity, adding to its best growth spell for over 2 years. Before the sell-off, the Fed was widely expected to roll out its first interest rate cut since 2020 when it meets in September. Monday's market panic brought speculation an emergency rate cut before then may be warranted.
The Fed's job is very straightforward. Maximize employment, stabilize prices, and maintain financial stability. If the conditions collectively start coming in that on the through line, there's deterioration on any of those parts, we're going to fix it.
Would an emergency rate cut cause more panic?
If they were to do that, it would require a lot more in the sense of an actual crisis than what we've seen so far, which is not a crisis at all.
So what comes next is crucial. Weekly jobless claims, 2 inflation reports next week, and later, August job report. So those will be tells of where the economy goes from here, Amira.
And Atra, give us the broader picture here. How does this fit into the markets how the markets performed overall this year and what we're seeing in terms of earnings for the season?
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal year for the stock market, right? Major averages have been up double-digit percentages this year. The S&P 500 broke record highs more than 36 times. And even after today's sell-off, it's still up more than 9% for the year. So few people thought that this boom could last much longer. And the timing makes sense as we're getting second quarter corporate earnings. Most companies reporting earnings are beating their profit forecasts, but investors care about what's coming next, and they want reassurance about the future, and they're not necessarily seeing that to the level that they'd like. As executives say, consumers are pulling back. And a new curveball here too, Amira, that's adding to investor anxiety are new fears that the AI boom may not be on track to yield results as quickly as some expected or hoped.
All right, a lot to figure out as we move forward here. I would not want to be the Federal Reserve, that's for sure.
Never.
All right, live from Washington, D.C., Audra Al-Nashar, thank you as always. Beginning today, New York has begun to mail out $350 million in child tax credit rebates. The program will last for the rest of the month. More than 100 million families will receive up to $330 per child. Those who qualify are couples who make less than $110,000 combined, or single parents who earned $75,000 or less in the year 2023. Beneficiaries did not need to sign up, as they were automatically enrolled by filing their taxes. And Minnesota, it turns out, paid hundreds of millions of dollars more than they were supposed to in unemployment benefits during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to a new report. The Labor Department says the state overpaid around $430 million between July of 2020 and June of 23, mostly because of human error. Most states actually had higher overpayment amounts than Minnesota did. CrowdStrike striking back on Delta's accusation that the software company is to blame for the airline's unprecedented flight cancellations seen after that crippling IT software outage. Delta's CEO says the thousands of cancellations costs about $500 million to their bottom line, and they threatened legal action, saying they expect CrowdStrike to be held financially liable. But the software company saying today it's not at fault because it says Delta botched its response to the outage and says the airliner turned down its offer for on-site help when systems went offline. Delta was by far the hardest hit airline in the outage, which continued to have a major impact on its flights for 5 days. Coming up, when we can expect Kamala Harris to announce her running mate and who's on the short list of contenders. Then, new evacuation orders in place in California as fires burn across the state. The latest progress crews have made on the biggest fire in the country. Then, what inspired the woman behind the designs for the Team USA gymnastics uniforms? That story when we come back. Right now, Democratic nominee for president Kamala Harris just hours away from announcing her choice for a VP running mate, the first consequential decision of her young campaign. And time, it is ticking down right now with just 91 days left in the election cycle. And by tomorrow morning, we're expecting to hear from Harris who will join her on that ticket. Reports saying that the reveal will come via text to supporters. And we know that over the weekend, she spoke with 3 of the contenders, the final contenders on the short list that include Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. Soon after that announcement, the pair is expected to make their first appearance at a Philadelphia rally. And then it is on to 7 critical battleground states, everywhere from Nevada and Arizona to Georgia and North Carolina. The city of Antelope, Oregon, under a level 3 go now evacuation order as a grass fire is approaching city limits. City officials posted on social media urging residents to leave without delay. The Bennett fire is within 5 miles of the city. In California, the Park Fire has surpassed 400,000 acres, but did not grow over the weekend as much as some analysts feared. The fire is roughly 34% contained now, but has still destroyed at least 640 buildings, damaging more than 50 others. Roughly 2,700 people remain evacuated in Butte and Tahoma counties. The Park Fire is just one of 15 active fires in California, further south outside of Fresno, California. The National Desk's Sofia Lesios spoke with one homeowner who says he's lucky to be sleeping in his home after a fire came too close for comfort on Sunday afternoon.
I thought I was prepared for it. You really can't prepare for something like this. And making that call to my wife that I was evacuating, that was a tough call.
A tough call Ted Ruiz had to make, deciding if he was going to try to protect his home or grab his dog and go.
My realtor texted me and said, hey, you have a fire like right behind your guy's cabin. And so I go out on my deck and lo and behold, back over there, the flames were jumping over the mountain coming our way. And it was kind of unnerving.
With flames creeping over the hill.
This is how close the fire got to us. And I'm hoping they could put something on it quick.
To make sure sparks weren't flying too close for comfort.
I really thought we were going to possibly lose our home in the homes in the neighborhood when the flame jumped the hill, the wind was coming our way, and I was standing on my deck, and it was too late to even continue wetting anything down.
When he was about to lose hope, CAL FIRE swooped in.
If it wasn't for the fire crews, I don't think we would have had 20 minutes to get out of here.
He watched fire crews contain the fast-moving wildfire at just 8 acres.
Wow. Bingo! Wow. Thank you! It was an amazing feeling when we saw them put it out.
Widespread unrest continues in Bangladesh after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled the country today. Thousands of protesters then breaking into her official residence. It all started when peaceful student protests against a quota system for government jobs escalated into a violent clash with the government, leaving 300 people dead. Bangladesh's military chief said he's working to set up a temporary government and will investigate the deadly use of force. The U.S. had denounced the results of Bangladesh's January elections that secured another term for Hasina.
We think that it's important that we focus on the Bangladeshi people's democratic aspirations and see a path to democratic governance. We want to see the Bangladeshi people decide the future of the Bangladeshi government.
Well, Simone Biles has finished out the Paris Olympics with one final medal, nabbing the silver for her floor routine today after stepping out of bounds twice. She and teammate Jordan Childs bowed down to Brazil's Rebecca Andrade, who took the gold. The 27-year-old leaves Paris with 3 golds and a silver. Not too bad. She missed out on the podium for the balance beam, finishing 5th after a fall. Biles isn't saying yet if this is it for her career. She's now tied as the second most decorated female gymnast in Olympic history with 11 medals. And Germany won a gold medal today in the mixed relay triathlon that went ahead despite continued concerns about the water quality of the Seine River. 2 athletes have gotten sick after swimming in the river last week. Belgium had to drop out of the race altogether. Organizers are defending their decision to go ahead with the events. The Paris mayor reiterating that the water was cleaned up. And Team USA continues to crush it at the games. You can see the numbers there. The U.S. athletes have brought home the most medals of any competing nation with 78 total. China in second with 53, and host nation France not doing too bad with 46 in third place. Team USA is second in gold medals with 20, trailing just behind China, which is in front with 21. In your health alert, a new study that shows some of the new weight loss medications out there may also help delay memory and thinking problems. But as medical reporter Liz Bonus explains, you may be able to get at least some of the same benefit just by doing a good workout.
Hey there, everybody. Recent research shows that what you see here, working the body and the brain at the same time, may help boost memory and fight cognitive decline.
That's what Paul found made a difference for him.
It's definitely making a difference with my short-term and long-term memory.
He started a combo brain activity with a powerful aerobic activity program here at Ohio's Brain and Body Fitness. He did this several months ago because as a colon cancer survivor,
Cognitively, I've had some issues that are post-chemo treatment.
no matter the reason, however, Adam Ortman, the chief exercise science officer here, told me,
there's magical things that happen in the brain when you elevate the heart.
so much so that they rival some of the benefits now described from other methods of weight loss. He says it all has to do with what's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF.
And so the idea is when you get the heart rate up, BDNF and other hormones are released, particularly in the brain. And so when you challenge your brain and your body in a novel way, you can actually promote neuroplasticity, which can have amazing benefits with brain fog, focus, clarity, and even short-term memory.
Adam says for this and many other reasons, exercise should be part of any program to improve health, including weight loss, whether you take medications to assist you or not. You see, as Paul discovered,
The lifestyle behaviors, I would say, are just as important as any one of these new medicines that are coming out. And the nice thing about the lifestyle behaviors, you can do that right now, and you can start right now before any type of dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis ever comes to play.
Paul says he noticed this difference in a matter of weeks working body and brain together. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
Good to know, Liz. Thank you. And coming up, how a Utah man used his drone to help save the lives of 7 people in danger. We'll be back in 90 seconds. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering the issues that matter most to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start with a warning from doctors about hydration for school sports.
Before your kids hit the soccer or football field, it's important they have a plan to hydrate.
So the night before, you want to have your kid drink a bottle of water. And even the morning before you go to practice, you want to drink another one, because you want to start your child with, or your athlete, with a full tank, being fully hydrated.
Dr. Richard So is a pediatrician for the Cleveland Clinic. He says when an athlete is not well hydrated, their performance and decision-making abilities can suffer. It can also make them more vulnerable to getting hurt.
You do need electrolytes if you're going to be practicing more than a couple hours or even an hour.
Dehydration happens when your body is losing more fluids than it is taking in.
casual Saturday morning, Stefan Sesher was testing out his new drone.
I thought I'll go to the marina and just enjoy flying around for a little bit.
That's when he overheard.
The immediate concern of folks just being stranded outside of their boats was my first thought.
So he got his drone in the air and started searching. Utah County Public Information Officer Sergeant Spencer Cannon says there were 3 adults, 2 teenagers, and 2 toddlers in the water.
Was that they were somewhere between Linden Marina and Saratoga Springs, which is a very broad area. It's a distance of about 7 miles.
But Stefan found the boat and got these right GPS coordinates to law enforcement.
They were found so quickly thanks to the willingness of this guy to stay on target with his drone and ultimately at the cost of his drone.
They're the brainchild of 2010 Cornell University alum Jeannie Diaz, a textiles and apparel design major who always had a passion for the arts.
My dream was always to be a fashion designer, since I was a little kid.
The Pennsylvania native says she was inspired by her grandmothers and credits her parents for fostering her innate sense of creativity.
So I would hand sew little outfits for my stuffed animals, and I would sketch my own little fashion collections when I was a kid, and I would write in my diaries how I want to be a fashion designer, and I would also write in my diaries how I wanted to go to the Olympics.
Years later, that dream would come true when Jeannie had the chance to design the leotards for Team USA Gymnastics. She was hired by GK Elite Sportswear right after graduating from Cornell, where she now serves as design director.
What an opportunity for her. And coming up, college football season is almost here. Why this year's coaches poll is like nothing we've seen before. The NCAA college football season is almost upon us, if you can believe that. And the U.S. LBM coaches poll today did something never seen before, with only 2 conferences making up the top 5. Georgia from the SEC for the 3rd year in a row takes the #1 preseason spot. Ohio State out of the Big Ten, that one ranking #2. But thanks to conference realignment, the Big Ten and SEC also boast the #3 and 4 teams, Oregon and Texas. Alabama of the SEC rounds out the top 5. The season kicks off on August 24th this month. That does it for this edition of the National Desk. We do invite you to join us again this evening for more coverage of America's top stories. I'm Amira David. Thank you so much for watching.